This week's Torah reading is called Vayechi, and he lived. And the Torah talks about the last years of the life of Yaakov, our forefather. If you actually follow the reading from the previous week's readings up to this reading, we know that all the family of Yaakov went from the land of Canaan into the land of Egypt, Mitzrayim, that's how it's called in Hebrew. Why? Because there was a terrible famine in the land of Canaan, and Yaakov found out that Yosef, his beloved son, was actually viceroy of Egypt, and therefore everybody moved to the land of Egypt. There was no famine over there. There was a lot of food because Yosef stored food, and he actually sustained his whole family, his father with his brothers, and everybody. Okay, very nice. There's one explanation that talks about the years of the life of Yaakov, the last 17 years, which actually the Torah says the last 17 years he actually spent in the land of Egypt, that these were, in truth, the best years in the life of Yaakov. How do we see this? A few ideas. First of all, the word toiv, which means good, when you actually add up the letters, yes, in Hebrew, each letter represents a number. So when you add up the letters of the word toiv, comes up the number 17. So that means that the last 17 years that the Torah says that Yaakov spent in Egypt were actually his best years, the best years of his life. Another idea, he was with his family, he was with his beloved son, Yosef. So that shows basically that, the best years of the life of Yaakov were his last 17 years that he spent in Egypt. But however, when you really start analyzing what Egypt was, there's a problem over here. First of all, our sages say this was the most perverted place in the whole world. Yaakov was in the land of Canaan, and he was in a good place over there. It was the land of his forefathers, etc. Why should he go to a terrible place? And moreover, to say that he spent his best years in such a place. The word Mitzrayim in Hebrew, which means Egypt, is related to the word Meitzarim, which means oppression, limits. How come that Yaakov spent his best years in a place that means oppression, means perversion, means oppression? What does that mean that he spent his best last 17 years in Egypt? One explanation of this idea is the following. What's the purpose why God decided to create the world? There are many answers to this question. One of the answers that comes from the works of our sages, the Midrash says that God wanted to have a dwelling place in this particular physical, last, so to speak, low world. There are other worlds, mystical teachings, Kabbalah, whatever, talk about spiritual worlds, etc., etc. But however, God doesn't want to dwell in those worlds where there are angels or whatever there are over there. God wants to dwell and be down here with us. The question is why? And the answer is very simple. Any situation, for instance, spiritual worlds, abstract things where God is revealed, our sages say that in Gan Eden, in the paradise, God is revealed, and those who enter the paradise, the tzaddikim, the righteous people, whatever, when they're over there, they're enjoying the ray of the presence of God. He is revealed over there. However, in any single situation where God is revealed, for him is actually a descent. It's not something good. Why? Imagine a teacher that has to teach students that are very low in comparison to his understanding of the matter, whatever he's teaching. So the teacher has to actually lower his own standards, lower his own understanding and knowing of the thing in order to reveal it, to teach it to lower capacity students. For whatever reason, because they are younger in years, it doesn't really matter. The point is that the teacher is high and the students are low, and the teacher, in order to reveal a concept from his mind into the mind of the students, he has to lower the thing. So this means that revelation actually means lowering. So God getting revealed in the spiritual worlds, in the abstract worlds, to the angels or whatever over there, he's actually lowering himself. But in this particular world, down here, this lowering, which goes up to the point that God is actually concealed, this lowering is for a higher, in order to reach a higher level, to go up. In Hebrew we say yerida tzerech aliyah. You go down in order to go up into a higher place. Why? Because in this particular world, when we finish our work and we actually refine the work, refine ourselves, etc., the essence of God is going to be revealed over here. But this thing means that he has to go down, he has to get concealed to the point that his essence can be revealed. That means that he lowers himself in order to reach a higher place. That's what it means that in Mitzrayim, in Egypt, a place that represents oppression limits, a place that represents the most perverted place in the world, over there, Yaakov was able to actually fulfill the reason why God created the world. In the land of Canaan, which is a very nice land, very special place, the place of his forefathers, a very holy place, etc., it's not as low as the land of Egypt. How can we actually understand this in a practical way for our lives? In the difficulties, in the challenges of life, that's where the purpose of your particular life is on, actually. In order to really reach your own potential, your true potential, you have to go down to, quote unquote, Mitzrayim, to Egypt. In those places where you get oppressed, in those places where you actually feel limited and you want to just get out of here. Over there, in that problem, in that challenge, that's the reason why you were created. And by lowering yourself and going to that place, really deep within yourself, really deep into the mud, so to speak, that's how you reach your own potential. That's how you actually go from that low place into a real high place. And that shows us that the situations we live in life actually are prepared by God for us in order to reach our real potential, in order to reach the real revelations of the essence of God with the coming of Mashiach speedily in our days.